Three, two, one. As a kid, I've always wanted to please others. When I was in school, I always wanted to get the best grades, so my father and my mother would be happy with me. When I was playing football, I always passed the ball. I never shot because I thought that I should be helpful. Maybe others were just better than me at doing things. And all of this went on so much in my life. And I got to my teenage years, and suddenly I looked in the mirror and I couldn't recognize myself. I didn't understand the becoming because there was no such thing. I was becoming a mirror of others, simply being there so that others can feel better for themselves, serving them, smiling because they're smiling. And I found not being able to smile myself. I forgot what the real smile, the real me looked like. I felt empty and lost. And the further I went down, the more I understood that something wasn't right, but I couldn't escape it. And thus I searched for answers. And one of the answers that came to me was from the philosopher Aristotle, who said to us that happiness is always found in us and depends solely on us. And suddenly it seemed like everything clicked, but I wasn't convinced. And so I started to read more. I started to search whether that was truly the case. And I came into one really interesting example of Ludwig XIV, the emperor's son. Ludwig was a king of France. And what he did as emperor of France, he built himself massive castles. The Versailles was his masterpiece. Everyone around him was there. He went into wars simply because he wanted to feel glorious. He wore gold on everything, reminiscent of some of the leaders today, I might add. However, the whole country was in debt. It was starving. People were having worse and worse times. And yet Ludwig didn't care. One of his famous quotes, in fact, was the quote, "After me, let there be a flood." He didn't care about the happiness and content of others. And what happened? 20, 30, 40 years later, the French Revolution came because the people were just not content with what they were given. And so the happiness of him didn't outweigh the happiness of others. Other rulers may have acted differently, but all of them had the same flawed idea. But because they were higher than others, somehow their happiness mattered more. And so to contrast these two ideas, I would like to look at Aristotle's own philosophy. Aristotle wasn't a man who dealt in absolutes. Quite on the contrary, he believed that everything can be found in the middle, that there shouldn't be too much happiness or too little, too much or too little anger, that everything shall be dealt in moderation. And so it seemed like a good idea at the time to try everything in the middle, not to be too happy, not to be too self-subservient. And yet I still didn't feel good. I still wanted to serve people. I still wanted them to be happy at me. I didn't understand. Maybe the problem was me. But the more soul searching that I did, and the more stuff came my way, and the more I talked with other people, the more I understood is that happiness is different for others. To bring this one absolute phrase into the world would be dooming all others that do not adhere to it. And if there is one thing I want you to bring from my speech, it is this. Don't listen to anybody who tells you that your happiness should be one way or another. Find your own happiness, the things that make you happy, the balance that you have. Do not depend on anyone else to do the soul searching for you, because every single person is unique in their own respective ways. Be unique. Thank you very much.